بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أما بعد، أصحاب السعادة السيدات والسادة رواد ورائدات الأعمال، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طاب مساءكم بالخير. يفخر برنامج TDF Grow اليوم لنمو الأعمال السياحية من صندوق التنمية السياحي أن يرحب بكم في سلسلة من الدورات التدريبية الجماعية، والتي تستهدف إلهام رواد ورائدات الأعمال الطموحين وتطوير طاقاتهم وإمكاناتهم من خلال مجموعة من التدريبات والموضوعات والمناقشات القيمة والتي ستطرح اليوم بإذن الله. يسرنا أن نقدم لكم هذه الجلسة التدريبية والتي تدور حول الأهمية المتزايدة التي يشهدها قطاع السياحة المستدامة. سنناقش اليوم وإياكم من خلال هذه الجلسة في الجزء الأول لمحة عامة حول السياحة المستدامة بالإضافة إلى عناصرها ومبادئها المختلفة. أيضا في الجزء الثاني سنتعرف وإياكم على توجهات قطاع الاستدامة وأهميته في المملكة العربية السعودية. وفي الجزء الثالث والأخير بإذن الله سنتعرف على المسار الذي يمكن أن تسلكه الشركات السياحية الصغيرة والشركات أيضا السياحية المتوسطة الحالية خلال رحلتها نحو مستقبل أكثر استدامة. قبل البدء ضيوفنا الكرام نود الإشارة إلى إتاحة الجلسة باللغتين العربية والإنجليزية مع توفر خيار الترجمة عبر الضغط على أيقونة الكرة الأرضية بالأسفل واختيار اللغة المفضلة لديكم. يتحدث إليكم الليلة السيد خوسيه مانويل أباروا، أصله من إسبانيا ونشأ في لندن ودرس القانون وحصل على شهادته الجامعية من جامعة دورهام. يعمل حاليا في أكسنتشر كجزء من فريق الابتكار في مدريد، حيث تخصص في مجموعة متنوعة من المبادرات التي تركز على السياحة. الآن وإياكم نرحب بالسيد خوسيه للتفضل بالحديث في هذه الجلسة.
Well, thank you very much for that, and welcome to the Sustainable Tourism course, where today we will deep dive into this very interesting and ever so relevant sector of tourism. In today's session, we will explore the following areas. In the first part of the session, we will introduce the concept of sustainable tourism. In section 2, we will deep dive and explore the key concepts and pillars of sustainability within the context of tourism. And finally, in part 3, we will look at sustainability in Saudi Arabia. Today, I am both happy and excited to present these very relevant topics to all of you in an attempt to help shape a more sustainable future for both Saudi Arabia and the world. So, join me in exploring the ever-evolving sustainability tourism sector and Saudi Arabia's push towards sustainability. Before we deep dive into today's discussion, what you can expect to get out of this session is threefold. Firstly, get a holistic understanding of what the key global and domestic sustainable tourism trends are. Understand the direction and why sustainability has become an ever so important topic. Secondly, immerse yourself into the key concepts, principles, and considerations of sustainability and how they set the precedent of what tourism SMEs need to consider and apply if they wish to move towards a more sustainable way of working and carrying out their business. Thirdly, understand this multifaceted sector within Saudi Arabia, the existing projects that the kingdom is currently exploring and working on, as well as how SMEs can make a radical shift towards applying sustainability in their businesses through a case that we have developed. To begin exploring this interesting topic, we first need to zoom out and get a bird's eye perspective of the landscape as a whole. So what is currently going on within global tourism? As tourism is a significant contributor to the global scale, 5% of global GDP to be exact, and contributing to 30% of the world's export and services, a couple of determinantal points need to be highlighted to showcase what is happening within this sector. Overall, in 2019, per capita international tourism expenditures amounted to $193 per person, highlighting the impact and spending power that the tourism sector has. It is expected that overall, by 2025, the industry will be valued at $8.4 trillion, a sharp increase of approximately 90% from 2020. Zooming in 2022, the overall market size of sustainable tourism is estimated at $1 trillion, with an overall growth potential of a continuous annual growth rate of 23.4% between 2022 and 2032. Now, if we look at this on a domestic level, so looking at this from the context of Saudi Arabia, the following points are important to highlight. Firstly, Saudi Arabia's tourism sector is still relatively nascent, with the kingdom only having opened its doors to international tourism in 2019. However, the following 3 points are noteworthy to capture. By 2026, it is expected that the number of SMTEs, meaning small medium enterprises in the tourism sector, are expected to reach approximately 166,000. 155,000 jobs that are to be created will represent roughly 26% of the tourism workforce by 2030. Overall, from a sustainability perspective, its market potential in Saudi Arabia alone has been estimated at 75 billion USD. So now that we have a good understanding of where tourism and more so sustainable tourism is headed, a natural question that arises that must be addressed is the following. What is sustainable tourism? As per the United Nations World Tourism Organization, sustainable tourism is defined as follows. Tourism that takes full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, addressing the needs of visitors, the industry, and the environment and host communities. Here, three things are important to highlight: economic, social, and environmental impacts. So now that we understand what sustainable tourism is, do we know the difference between sustainable tourism and regular tourism? I'll give everyone maybe 20 seconds to have a quick think about the difference between the two, and then we'll go through it together. Well, firstly, on the left-hand side, we will see some examples of sustainable tourism. Sustainable lodging and accommodation, and all the amenities and resources that are required as well to make lodging sustainable. Experiences and local excursions, such as visiting cultural UNESCO heritage sites and being cognizant of their preservation. Travel, sustainable travel, such as traveling by rail and other forms of green transportation that do not run on fossil fuels. Outdoor tourism, such as hiking, camping, which reduces the overall carbon footprint of travelers. Now, on the right-hand side, we will see some examples of not sustainable tourism. Sustainable tourism is not mass tourism, such as cruise lines, where the overall footprint is high due to the sheer number of people. Mass beach vacations that endanger the biodiversity and corals. Endangering UNESCO sites by allowing large flocks of tourists to visit historical sites, impacting their preservation. And lastly, air travel, which is one of the single largest contributors to global warming. In this next section, we will deep dive into the key concepts and theory of what sustainability is all about. There are 5 key principles that are prevalent and required for tourism to be classified and adopted as sustainable tourism. Firstly, we have alignment with sustainability development goals. Meeting the sustainability development goals, such as reducing carbon footprint, preserving natural heritage, and conservation of energy. We have integration. Sustainable tourism should not be regarded as a set of niche products separate from tourism. Next, we have responsible use. Optimally use key resources for tourism development, maintaining essential ecological processes to help preserve natural heritage and biodiversity. Fourthly, we have conservation of heritage. Respect the host community's social, cultural heritage and traditional values, as well as contributing to the cultural understanding. And finally, we have distribution. To carry out economic operations that ensure equitable distribution in terms of stable income and employment, as well as providing social economic benefits. With each key principle that we have showcased, sustainable tourism also has different forms that are notable. In this slide, we capture and discuss these 12 types. We have economic viability, to ensure the viability and competitiveness of tourism destinations and enterprises. Local prosperity, to maximize the contribution of tourism to the prosperity of the host destination. Employment quality, to strengthen the number and quality of local jobs created and supported by tourism. Social equality, to seek a widespread distribution of economic and social benefits from tourism throughout the recipient community. Visitor fulfillment, to provide a safe, satisfying, and fulfilling experience for visitors, available to all. Local control, to engage and empower local communities in planning and decision-making about the management and future development of tourism in their area. Community well-being, to maintain and strengthen the quality of life in local communities, including social structures and access to resources. Cultural richness, to respect and enhance the historical heritage, authentic culture, traditions, and distinctiveness of host communities. Physical integration, to maintain and enhance the quality of landscapes, both urban and rural, and avoid the physical and visual degradation of the environment. Biological diversity, to support the conservation of natural areas, habitats, and wildlife, and minimize damage to them. Resource efficiency, to minimize the use of scarce and non-renewable resources in the development and operation of tourism facilities and services. And finally, environmental purity, to minimize the pollution of air, water, and land, and the generation of waste by tourism enterprises and visitors. So now that we have explored the trends, the concepts, and key theory, let's deep dive into what sustainable tourism looks like in Saudi Arabia and what interesting and upcoming projects are currently taking place in the kingdom. There are three types of sustainable tourism that currently exist globally, and these are the following. Firstly, ecotourism. This is a form of travel that prioritizes local experiences and avoidance of touristic hotspots. Community tourism. This is a form of tourism in which local communities and traditions are exhibited. And finally, rural tourism. This is travel which is centered around rural and domestic areas of a specific region, such as its natural features, for example, forests, hills, mountains, fields, waterfalls, and so on. We have a few examples here. For example, the Eco Lodge in Jordan. The accommodation operates in partnership with the Royal Society for the Conservation of Nature and its solar power, greatly reducing the overall carbon footprint. In South Africa, we have the Sustainability Hostel, for example. The hostel has adopted a number of eco-friendly practices, including a more sustainable waste management system, the use of solar power, and an ownership model that allows local employees to own shares. And finally, if we take a look, for example, at Fiji, where we have the solar-driven Six Senses, the resort is entirely powered by solar energy, and it includes its own rain capture and water filtration facilities, helping to reduce the use of plastic bottles. Additionally, it promotes recycling and reuse of materials and supports a number of causes that help the local community. Now, if we look at how this looks like in Saudi Arabia, we first need to understand the direction and trends that are occurring within tourism in Saudi Arabia. Across the kingdom, 6 trends have been observed, which are the following. That 71% of travelers want to make more effort to travel more sustainably. That 41% of travelers want to reduce their impact on the environment. 49% of travelers bought from local stores and restaurants rather than chains. 66% of travelers wanted to have an authentic experience that are representative of the local culture. 33% of travelers actively look for information on the sustainability efforts of a property before booking. And finally, 43% of travelers use more environmentally friendly transportation options. With these key trends in mind, the shift that the kingdom has made to introducing a more sustainable form of tourism is as follows. Firstly, we have impact reduction. The Saudi Arabian government will use renewable energy and dispose of waste property to reduce the impact on the tourism ecosphere. Secondly, we have environmental advantage. The government aims to direct profits generated from ecotourism towards ecological conservation and preservation. And finally, we have a decrease on oil dependence. The kingdom's objective is to grow the country's gross domestic product generated from tourism from 3 to 10% by 2030. So now, what sustainable projects is the kingdom currently focused on? Well, we have an example here of 6 different projects. We have, for example, the King Salam Park, the Red Sea Development Project, the Green Riyadh, and so on. In the next 2 slides, we're going to have a deep dive into the Red Sea Development Project and the Green Riyadh. The Red Sea Project will be an exquisite sanctuary offering indulgent experiences, seamlessly customized to the unique needs of each visitor. The site encompasses an archipelago of more than 90 pristine islands, miles of sweeping desert, and drastic landscapes that include volcanoes and canyons. The Red Sea Project will set new standards in sustainable development, pioneering a new relationship between luxury tourism and the natural environment that will put Saudi Arabia on the international tourism map. The Red Sea Project's objective by 2023 are as follows: to have 4 islands developed, 16 hotels, 2 inland sites, and 3,000 rooms. The Red Sea Project objectives by 2030 are as follows: to have 22 islands developed, 48 hotels, 6 inland sites, and 8,000 rooms. In Riyadh, another project that is currently under development and is set to transform the city into more greenery is the Green Riyadh. Green Riyadh project is one of the most ambitious urban forestation projects in the world. The Green Riyadh project will contribute to increasing the per capita share of green space and raise the total green spaces by planting trees around all city features and facilities, as well as in its provinces. All of the greening will be watered by recycled water from an irrigation network. The greening initiative will lead to improved air quality and reduced temperatures in the city. The plan is to plant 7.5 million trees across the capital, with about 72 native shade plant species compatible with Riyadh's environment. In order to achieve these, there are some key enablers that we need to take into consideration. a new water treatment network for irrigation with a daily capacity of 1 million cubic meters, a network of plant nurseries to provide the required seedlings and trees, improved urban regulations to enhance forestation in both public and private projects, awareness initiatives to encourage voluntary engagement. Now that we have explored the concept of sustainable tourism, what drives sustainable tourism and its key concepts, it's time to apply these principles and theory to a case. We have developed an illustrative case where we run through an example of how Abdullah, the CEO and founder of a lodging company, would like to create an eco-lodge focusing on sustainability. Abdullah, an entrepreneur based out of Hail, has been operating his lodging business for over 5 years. Located in Saudi Arabia's breathtaking mountains regions, his business offers both domestic and international tourists the opportunity to escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Recently, Abdullah partook in TDF's sustainable tourism course, which left him inspired as to how he could transform and capitalize on the growth trends in sustainable tourism, in order to ensure that his business, as well as himself, played their role in driving not only Saudi Arabia, but also the world towards a more sustainable future. Abdullah shares his lodge details with you and asks you that what he should do to transform it into an eco-lodge. To point out a few key aspects and components of Abdullah's business, his lodging company has the following. It's located in the Hail Mountain region. It has 20 rooms. Its transportation methods is cars and vans. Its energy method is gas, electricity, and water. Food and beverages are imported from abroad and sourced from supermarkets. And ad hoc, we have amenities, lodging essentials, plastic waste, soap, shampoo, and so on. So now that we have all this information, how can Abdullah apply the different elements and concepts into his eco-lodge business? I'll give everyone maybe 20 seconds, 25 seconds to reflect on this, on how Abdullah could go about making this change, and then we'll look at it together. Well, for one, from the elements we have looked at in the first phase of this course, he should consider adding the following. Firstly, integration. The lodge should be repurposed and rebranded as an eco-lodge, with sustainability thus becoming one of his unique selling propositions. And secondly, responsible use. Standardize the strict ways of working, resources, and guidelines should be adopted in order to comply with local and national sustainability measures and policies. Keeping the core elements in mind, a couple of suggestions as to what he can do to add to his lodge business are as follows. Environmental purity. Energy efficiency through recycling, saving water, energy, and sustainability mobility can help reduce overall pollution. Resource efficiency. Minimize the use of non-renewable resources, such as plastic, monitoring of air conditioning, and avoiding single wash. Biological diversity. Preserving the surrounding wildlife in the mountains and avoiding overall pollution, contributed by light and noise. We have cultural richness. Introduce, showcase, and support local entrepreneurs from the region to source products, food, furniture, and inform guests about the rich culture of the region. And finally, we have employment quality. Empowering and hiring employees from the community and surroundings can foster a sense of belonging, spark creative solutions, and support community. After having attended the sustainability course, listened to our suggestions and implemented them, Abdullah's Eco-Lodge has flourished and become one of the go-to sustainable tourism retreats in Hail. Abdullah has implemented the following changes. Local hiking and wildlife excursions in the mountains provided by local guides, all catering, furniture, and material is sourced from local entrepreneurs, craftsmen, and farmers. Reduced energy expenditure through smart metering, introducing water conversion initiatives, and potential use of solar panels. Single use of plastic is not favored. Instead, opt for ceramics from local entrepreneurs, utensils, glasses, and plates. Food waste is eliminated by better planning and the implementation of clean tech food management systems to promote leftover use. And finally, e-bikes for guests, as well as the use of group shuttles to avoid low occupancy trips. So to recap today's session and highlight the importance of sustainable tourism and its impact on tourism in Saudi Arabia, we have learned the following key points. Saudi Arabia has vast opportunities in the sustainable sector that are yet to be fully explored and developed. Sustainable tourism is a multifaceted segment which requires significant alignment between the various stakeholders, such as government, local enterprises, and communities. In Saudi Arabia, there is a strong appetite as well as a shift towards sustainability, as customers and tourists have become more environmentally conscious. So I want to give everyone just a thank you for joining today's session. I hope that today's course has inspired you to become more sustainable, as well as to explore the many opportunities that are presented not only in Saudi Arabia, but also in sustainability. If you have any questions, please feel free to address them to the email that there is on the screen right now, and someone will get back to you shortly. And finally, just one final thank you from me, and hope that you found this interesting.
شكرا لكم سيد خوستي على تفضلكم بهذا الحديث، وشكرا لحسن استماعكم وإنصاتكم. نلتقيكم بإذن الله على خير، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.